Thank you for joining us. I'm Felicity Ezewike. The Nigerian police has invited President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajaero, for questioning over a case of criminal conspiracy, terrorism, financing, treasonable felony, subversion, and cybercrime. An invitation later signed by Adamu Muazu, Assistant Commissioner of Police, indicated that Ajaero is expected to be at the Intelligence Response Team complex in Abuja on Tuesday. Muazu said an arrest warrant will be issued against Ajaero if he does not honor the invitation. We understand that the case is connected to the recent raid of the NLC secretariat in Abuja by the police on August 7. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says that it recorded the sum of 3,297 billion naira as profit for the year 2023. This NNPC Limited, while presenting its 2023 audited financial statements to newsmen in Abuja, says that it expended a total revenue of about 24 trillion naira for the financial year. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
In a bid to promote transparency and accountability to the public, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited presented its 2023 audited financial statement to the public.
An excellent performance, being the first fruit of the PIA, the commitment of the board, management and staff of the company, thus leading to the attainment of 3.3 trillion profit after tax for 2023 financial year. Accordingly, the shareholders of the company have approved a final dividend of 2.1 trillion in line with the provision of PIA 2021.
Details of the statement, which was presented by the Chief Financial Officer of the oil giant, says that the NNPC Limited made a 28% increase in profit at approximately 3,279 billion naira in 2023 when compared to 2.4 trillion naira in 2022.
When you look at the performance of this company from 2019 to date, we have never looked backwards. It's always forward. The company, when we took over, was a loss-making corporation. And PIA came into being, and it became a karma company. We broke even at the end of 2019, and by 2020, we had produced the first profit ever for this company, which is 287 billion naira. The following year, in 2021, the company's profit grew to 674 billion naira. By the third year, in 2022, the profit jumped to 2.5 trillion naira. Of course, in that year, we also had the JV assets transferred from the corporation to us as part of our take-up assets. Now, in 2023, the profit has also grown by 28% from 3.5 trillion to 3.297 trillion naira.
The executive vice presidents of the upstream and downstream sectors of the company also provided an update of the fuel queues being experienced, the nation's refineries, and current gas exploration concerns.
We were doing as low as 1.1 million barrels when these vandals hit us really hard. And because of the intervention, we've been able to ramp up production, and I said, on a particular day this month, we hit 1.7 million barrels. It definitely indicates that the measures are working.
You'd also understand that with the rains also come situations where ability to discharge petroleum products is challenged. When you have lightning and thunderstorms, you have to suspend not just the discharge of petroleum products onshore, but also the evacuation from the tank farm.
The NNPC Limited said that the audited financial statement will be uploaded on its website for the public. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, to use the 2023 final dividends owed to the Federation to cover the cost of petrol subsidies. In addition, the President has approved a halt on the payment of 2024 interim dividends to the Federation to help boost NNPC's cash flow. Also, NNPC informed the President that due to the subsidy payments, it is currently unable to pay taxes and royalties into the Federation account, referring to this as a subsidy shortfall FX differential. A forecast from NNPC indicated that the total petrol subsidy expenses from August 2023 to December 2024 will amount to 6.884 trillion naira, leaving the company unable to remit 3.987 trillion naira in taxes and royalties to the Federation account. To discuss this, we're joined by Temitope Kolade, Senior Manager and Lead ESG and Climate Change Services at Anderson. Thank you for joining us. How might NNPC's decision to allocate the dividends for 2023 to cover petrol subsidy impact the company's financial stability and long-term profitability?
Good evening, and thanks for having me. I'm not sure that would have any sort of impact on the company. When you talk about financial sustainability, dividends really are meant to go to the shareholders, and the shareholder in this case is the federal government of Nigeria, the Federation, which is why we hear that the President is saying use that to take care of the subsidy. Apparently, sometimes the shareholder could also say we want some sort of organic growth, and so we're going to put it back into the development of the company for expansion and all of that. But that's not the cost that the NNPC seem to be taking, or the shareholders of the company seem to be taking at this point. I think the bigger question really is that how does it impact the sustainability of the country? Because the decision that the President is taking is for the entire country, as a matter of fact. It would mean that Nigeria will not have monies to do other things. That means we're still paying subsidy, in other words. So, I mean, it's just corroborating the fact day after day that subsidy is still with us, and we need to deal with that issue within the oil and gas sector to ensure that we have a sustainable sector and a sustainable country in itself.
What are the potential risks of halting the payment of 2024 interim dividends to the Federation? And how could this affect government revenues and public finances?
Yeah, already we see it's like taken from one hand and given to the other hand of the same individual. So again, I would say nothing much has changed. If you think about it, NNPC is already saying that we won't be able to pay taxes. It means that there will be no taxes from NNPC to take care of some social good, for instance. Again, it means that you either are collecting taxes as government, or you are paying subsidy with it, or you are not collecting taxes at all, and then you're already dealing with the subsidies. So it doesn't help the country. It doesn't help anyone. But again, it's the same hand, really.
Given the forecasted petrol subsidy expenses of over 6 trillion naira, what alternative strategies could NNPC adopt to manage the financial strain while still fulfilling its tax and royalty obligations?
Well, would expect that NNPC gives us the much desired, fulfill their much desired promises in terms of having the imports problem dealt with. If we have our refineries working in the country, it would mean that we would talk less of subsidy, as a matter of fact, because one of the things that has brought about the new NNPCL that we're not talking about is the fact that there was a PIA, and the PIA expects that at a particular point in time we'll begin to have a complete deregulation of that sector, and it would mean that we can also produce the refined products in the country. And if that is dealt with, it would mean that we'll talk less of subsidy, we'll talk less of importing crude, and that way we'll begin to have a self-reliant oil industry in Nigeria, where we don't have to talk about whether NNPC is not profitable because it's having to deal with subsidy payment or FX revaluations and all of those.
How does NNPC's current inability to remit taxes and royalties due to subsidy payment impact broader economic planning and resource allocation at the federal level?
It's a huge one, right? Number one, you think about it, it's always like a circle when you think about how economies work. You take from the government, you give to the people use it to buy products, they pay taxes, the companies pay taxes, and it gets back to the government. So it's a circle. Now, if for any reason there is a part of that balance that is making things lopsided, in which case you're putting so much into subsidy payments, and sometimes we even complain that those subsidies end up in the hands of certain individuals, it means that the life of the generality of the people becomes worse, because at one point it appears that you're providing some social good, and as you can see, we don't have those fuel products in the hands of Nigerians to even run their economic activities. So it leads to more hardship for people within the environment. So it has a huge impact on everyone, because again, the government is not taking taxes to develop infrastructure or ensuring that certain social goods are met. And on the other hand, we say we are paying subsidy, and it appears that there is not enough transparency when it comes to the much subsidy that may be going under the radar.
All right, Tokwa, thank you as always for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Let's tell you now that President Bola Tinubu today departed Abuja for France aboard a new presidential jet. Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, confirmed the purchase of the new aircraft in a statement. The new Airbus A330 replaces the 19-year-old Boeing B737-700 acquired during former President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration. Onanuga noted that the new jet would significantly reduce Nigeria's maintenance and fuel costs, saving millions of dollars annually. In June, the House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence had recommended the purchase of new aircraft for both President Tinubu and Vice President Kashim Shettima. Let's also tell you that President Bola Tinubu has approved the implementation of 0% import duty on basic food items effective from 15th of July to 31st of December 2024. This measure is geared towards ameliorating the high cost of food items in the Nigerian market, and is limited to the national supply gap to be determined by a committee set up by the Minister of Agriculture. The restricted items include maize, millet, rice, and wheat. Others include husked brown rice, grain, and beans. Customs National Public Relations Officer Abdullahi Maiwada gives guidelines on importers that are eligible to participate. Also in the news, President Bola Tinubu has replaced Jalal Arabi as Executive Chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACON, appointing Professor Abdullahi Saleh Usman as his successor. Announced by presidential spokesman Ajurin Galale, the appointment is subject to Senate confirmation. Professor Usman, with experience from the University of Medina and Peshawar University, previously chaired the Kano State Pilgrims Board. Arabi's dismissal follows controversy over the 2024 Hajj operations, where 70 billion naira in government subsidies was questioned. The EFCC reportedly recovered 340,098 Saudi riyals from Arabi, who allegedly overpaid himself and other officials for Hajj costs. President Tinubu expects the new NACON chairman to lead with integrity and transparency. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has reversed its ruling on the Bayelsa and Kogi governorship polls dispute after entertaining and hearing and adopting their final briefs from counsels representing all parties in the disputes. The five-man panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice Garba Lawal, informed all parties involved in the dispute that the final date for judgment will be communicated to them. Amadine Uyi reports.
Many had converged on the court, expecting a ruling that will either change the political structure in Kogi and Bayelsa states or retain them. However, in ruling on the two separate appeals by respondents, the Supreme Court reserved its judgment on the two cases. Those involved in the Kogi dispute expressed differing opinions, especially in relation to their expectations.
Two appeals arising from the Kogi governorship election came up today, the one from the SDP and the one from the AA. They were argued and we await judgment. Judgment was reserved. Yeah, so I'm not at liberty to make any further comments because the matter is sub judice.
We canvass the point that some of the decisions of this honorable court, particularly in Peter Obi's case and Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's case, wherein paragraph 4.5 of the first schedule to the Electoral Act was given strict interpretation, should be departed from, having regard to the incalculable injustice it has occasioned petitioners in our electoral jurisprudence. That was what informed the humble application we made to the Honorable the Chief Justice of Nigeria to constitute a full panel of the court in so doing. However, when the letter was brought to the attention of the Honorable Court today, their lordships in their wisdom said that the panel of 5 was fully empowered to deal with our matters and application in our brief.
I am as confident as ever because truth is always truth. Truth is constant. No matter where you take them to, truth remains truth. The fact is that the election of November 2023 was won by Ahmed Usman Ododo, and the tribunal affirmed it.
The counsel to the former Minister of State for Petroleum also expressed his views on the position by the Apex Court.
Well, we have done our best, and we are still. That's the way you have put it. We are very confident that the courts, the decision will go in our way, and in any event, the court has the power, it has the discretion, to give judgment in the way the law appears to them. We have done our best as the appellant counsel. So it's not for us to determine how the judgment will go, but we must, within ourselves, have hope on what we have presented before the court. And we're very hopeful that everything will go well.
The panel says that it will communicate the judgment day to all the parties involved. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Many thanks, Amadine. Let's move on now to education matters. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has issued the federal government a 21-day notice of its intent to begin a nationwide strike. This was confirmed by sources within ASU's National Executive Council, NEC, following a critical meeting at the University of Ibadan. The notice will be sent to the Federal Ministries of Labour and Education as a formal warning of the planned strike. A NEC member clarified that the notice is not an ultimatum, but a legal requirement under labour laws. The union aims to ensure its actions comply with the law before proceeding with the strike after the 21-day period. Secretary to the Government of the Federation has tasked citizens to be deliberate in setting out standards for the demonstration of integrity at the highest level. This was during a 2-day integrity innovation workshop for public officers towards the promotion of a culture of integrity in the nation's public services. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
Globally, public service delivery remains a challenge as there's a perceived dissatisfaction by citizens on service delivery, leading to mistrust and lack of confidence on the integrity of public officers. Accountability experts say upholding the integrity of the nation's public service has become apt and necessary for good governance.
Lack of integrity mostly manifests in forms of bribes, conflict of interest, appropriation of personal interest above national interest, gifts and favors, and use of state property.
The Global Governance Efficiency Index and the Corruption Perception Index paint a picture of a public service grappling with inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of responsiveness to the needs of our citizens. These are not just numbers. They represent the voices of millions of Nigerians who deserve better.
In order to address the critical challenge confronting Nigeria's public service, stakeholders from various walks of life have converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, to brainstorm on how to foster a culture of accountability and improve citizens' trust.
Like conversations like this still happen in our society. How do we begin to change the tide? But I mean, today we will try our best to see that the pride of the nation is built on integrity and accountability through conversations that we can have here.
We see this work as complementing what is being done in our judicial system. Our judicial system should hold people who are accused accountable, and those who have been found guilty should face the law.
They say it is important to leverage the use of technology to enhance transparency and call for avenues that will promote citizens' involvement.
We believe that citizens' engagement, participation, and ownership of the crusade is the only way to win the war against graft.
Stakeholders say they hope that the outcome of this gathering will enhance efforts and support the development of a culture of integrity and accountability within governments. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonka Joseph.
Glad you're still with us. The recent hashtag #EndBadGovernance protest across Nigeria seems to have curated citizens' audacities to continue to interrogate their leaders over their commonwealth and well-being. In Delta State, South Nigeria, the state government has finally opened up to residents of the state on how Governor Sheriff Oborowori's led administration is deflecting the 465 billion naira inherited from the immediate past Governor Ifeanyi Okowa's led administration amid wide criticism. In this special report, News Central's correspondent Austin Azu underscores how the servicing of the state debt seems to be affecting governance and infrastructural development across the oil-rich Niger Delta state.
Governor Oborowori, upon assumption of office on May 29, 2023, never told residents of the state of what inherited as a debt from his predecessor. However, he re-echoed his more agenda and programs to advance the state. According to reports, the immediate past governor of the state, Ifeanyi Okowa, handed over 400 billion naira debt to Governor Oborowori. The just concluded 10 days hashtag #EndBadGovernance protest in the state seems to have ignited conversations on what Governor Oborowori is doing with the state's highest statutory allocation in Nigeria from the federal government, besides the internally generated revenue. According to reports, Governor Oborowori within the last 1 year has received over 500 billion naira as statutory allocation from the federal government. But for most residents of the state, there is little or nothing on the ground to justify the huge federal allocation received.
Of all that we have borrowed in the past, what have we used them for? I recall in this year we bought so many buses and all over the place, and where are the buses today? They're all gone. And so,
in response to queries from residents of the state, the State Commissioner for Economic Planning provides more insight into how Governor Oborowori has deflected the inherited debts but not losing sight of infrastructural developments across the state.
As far as the state's debt stock is concerned, at the inception of this government, total debt stock was 465 billion and 400 million. That is 465.4 billion naira. That was at least the established debt stock of the state. As we speak, as of today, we're looking at a debt stock of about 303.4 billion. 303.4 billion. We're saying that in the space of about 14 months, this governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oborowori, has repaid over 160 billion. In fact, it's about 160.9 billion, so approximately 161 billion naira.
The South-South Zonal Chairman of the Labour Party and Delta North Senatorial Chairman of the APC, Both berated the governor for using the state's money to service the debt that the immediate past governor borrowed to fund his vice presidential ambition.
If you look at it, people did those contracts. If there are those that are not genuine, then they should set up a probe panel and probe those ones. But for any genuine one, believe you me, I am in support of him paying, because Deltans are those who did that contract, and they are the ones that will be suffering.
The roads are so bad, no security, no development, nothing is happening in the state because of overborrowed for election. The Delta State debt was borrowed for federal election, not even state election as much, but federal election. When the sitting governor then was eyeing federal, he could sponsor the federal election. It's not easy. That is country race.
It will be recalled that a group in the state has dragged the immediate past governor of the state, Ifeanyi Okowa, to court over financial mismanagement of the state worth over 3 trillion naira within his 8 years in office. In Asaba, for News Central, Austin Azu.
In East Africa, the Kenyan government plans to raise about $1.2 billion by reinstating some unpopular taxes contained in a finance bill that was scrapped in the face of deadly street protests. According to Finance Minister John Mbadi, the government was considering about 49 tax measures to try to raise roughly 150 billion shillings, that's $1.2 billion. These include the reintroduction of an eco-levy on goods such as electronic items, as well as plastic packaging that the government says is aimed at reducing waste. President William Ruto had warned of a funding shortfall after he decided in June to drop the controversial tax hikes after a bloody day in Nairobi that saw the storming of Parliament and police firing live bullets at demonstrators. In Somalia, market traders are demonstrating for the second straight day on Monday over the implementation of 5% tax on electronic payments, saying they were already burdened by high tariffs to transport goods into and around the country. The change would see all margins, irrespective of their business size, add a flat 5% extra to electronic transactions, which the government says is needed to fund infrastructure and security. The country's finance minister, Bihi Imam Ege, defended the VAT, which he said was based on a 1984 law and which had already been passed by Parliament. Somalia is one of the poorest and most corrupt countries in the world and is also grappling with a long and bloody insurgency by the Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist group Al-Shabaab. Outside the African continent, pro-Palestinian protesters have gathered near the United Center, where the Democratic National Convention will kick off when U.S. President Joe Biden will deliver a bittersweet farewell, passing the torch to Kamala Harris. Some of the protesters carry banners reading "Free Palestine, Peace Now" and Palestinian flags. Let's now join our business desk for today's business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The Nigerian government has shifted the start of the 150 billion naira loan disbursement for manufacturers and micro, small and medium enterprises to September. The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Doris Uzoka Anite, confirmed this during a meeting with beneficiaries of the presidential grant and prospective beneficiaries of the MSME presidential loan in Calabar, Cross River State. The statement issued by the Trade Ministry stated that the event, hosted at the invitation of the Cross River State Governor Basi Utu, offered a platform for direct interaction between the federal government and recipients of President Bola Tinubu's economic empowerment initiatives. In her address, the minister disclosed that 660,320 nano-beneficiaries, representing 60% of the targeted 1 million, had received disbursements across Nigeria's 774 local governments. The Presidential Conditional Loans and Grants Scheme is a 200 billion naira initiative divided into 125 billion naira for MSMEs and 75 billion naira for manufacturers, with funds allocated to support growth, employment, and the overall prosperity of Nigeria. The Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Shippers Council, Pius Akuta, said it has saved Nigeria from spending billions of naira by performing its statutory roles and functions. Akuta said this at a maiden visit to Kaduna to interact with the council staff and the Staff Shippers Association. He said that the council's dispute resolution mechanism was effective and has bolstered its operations. According to Akuta, complaints such as loss of cargoes and charges accompanied by it from owners, among other issues, were handled professionally and resolved by the council. He also said that revamping the rail transportation, which was on course by the President Bola Tinubu administration, will go a long way in ensuring a viable means of moving cargoes from the seaport to land. The Kenyan government plans to raise about $1.2 billion by reinstating some unpopular taxes contained in a finance bill that was scrapped in the face of deadly street protests, a government minister said. President William Ruto had warned of a funding shortfall after he decided in June to drop the controversial tax hikes after a bloody day in Nairobi that saw the storming of parliament and police firing live bullets on demonstrators. Finance Minister John Mbadi, in an interview, said the government was considering about 49 tax measures to try to raise roughly 150 billion shillings, that's about $1.2 billion. These include the introduction of an eco-levy on goods such as electronic items as well as plastic packaging that the government says is aimed at reducing waste. Finally, in South Africa, the Democratic Alliance says the debate on Eskom's proposed 36% electricity tariff increase should happen soon, but after a deliberation. The party's energy spokesperson, Kevin Milham, said the main intention was to highlight the impact an almost 40% increase would have on ordinary South Africans. He said this was important, especially after Electricity Minister Hossein Sora Mahopa said the high electricity prices needed to be reviewed. Milham said the combined increase would force consumers who currently spend 900 rand per month on electricity to pay 1,260 rand per month. While the DA said the debate on the proposed tariff increase might not stop the National Energy Regulator of South Africa from approving Eskom's proposed increase, it would highlight the impact of such an increase on consumers. And that's all on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
And in sports, the 2024 National Youth Games zonal elimination gets new date. Meanwhile, in football, Nigeria under-17 women's team have returned to camp ahead of the 2024 FIFA Women's World Cup. Let's favor Itwa with more updates.
Sports Update. Brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sport, the Ministry of Sports Development has announced August 28 to September 1st, 2024 as the new date for the zonal elimination of the 8th National Youth Games, which will be held in the 6 geopolitical zones. The new date was confirmed following the arrival of top officials of the Federal Ministry of Sports Development from the Paris 2024 Olympics. According to reports, the initial date for the zonal elimination was moved due to the protests that rocked the nation between 1st to the 10th of August 2024. The states are expected to participate in the following sports: baseball, basketball, cricket, hockey, football, handball, volleyball, and rugby. Meanwhile, the 2024 National Youth Games will hold from 9th to the 19th of September in Asaba, Delta State. And out to football, head coach of the Nigeria under-17 women's team, Bankole Olowokere, has invited 35 players to the camp as the team commences the first phase of final preparations for the 8th FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals to be staged in the Dominican Republic later this year. Goal poacher Harmony Chidi tops the list of invitees alongside her strike partner Peace Effiong, with team captain Taiwo Afolabi, goalkeeper Christiana Uzoma, and defender Priska Nwachukwu also prominent. The 8th FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup finals will be staged in the cities of Santiago de los Ceballeros and Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic from the 16th of October to the 3rd of November 2024. Still talking football, Lobby Stars Football Club of Makurdi has successfully bolstered its squad with 15 new faces ahead of the 2024-25 football season. Among the 15 new signings, 5 players were discovered during the tour of local governments in Benue State. Highly rated forward O.C. Martins, who joined from Remo Stars, is among newcomers. Experienced goalkeeper Akko Itodo joins from Gombe United, while defensive strongman Matthew Arinze teams up with the squad from Abia Warriors. Other players include Baba Tunde from Akwa United, Jide Williams from Bender Insurance, and Valentin Igiga from Gombe United. The club's vice chairman and CEO, Dominic Iofa, disclosed that the new players passed their medicals and are certified to play for the team in the new season. And to wrap up sports update, former French international Thierry Henry has resigned from his role as manager of France youth teams after earning a silver medal at the Paris Olympics. Henry, who won the 1998 World Cup in his country as a player, cited personal reasons as the motivation for his decision. Henry's Olympic team, made up of under-23 players and 3 over 8 selections, beat Argentina and Egypt on the way to the final in Paris, only to be beaten 5-3 by Spain after extra time. He has also managed Monaco in Ligue 1 and the Montreal Impact in MLS previously, and also served as an assistant during Roberto Martinez's time in charge of Belgium's senior men's national team. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. And Favor Itwa.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Following a shocking incident, Ghanaian musician Black Sherif left the event ground at the University of Mines and Technology in Takwa, where he was performing. Reports indicate that his departure was prompted by poor planning and inadequate safety measures at the event, leading to the electrocution of 2 concert goers. In a video that quickly went viral, Black Sherif was seen asking the crowd to help the victims. And in subsequent videos, he was spotted heading directly to his car, despite pleas from fans and organizers. The footage captured the frustration and disappointment of the attendees, who had reportedly waited for 6 hours to see him on stage. Some fans on social media have expressed their support for Black Sherif's decision, praising him for prioritizing the safety of his fans over the performance. However, there are also growing concerns over the condition of the electrocuted fans, with many hoping for their speedy recovery. The multi-award-winning Ghanaian artist and his team are yet to issue a public statement on the incident. Hailey Berry is seeking sole legal custody of her son, Masio, citing concerns that her ex-husband, Olivia Martinez, is not co-parenting responsibly. According to reports, Berry has filed a request for custody or alternatively for tie-breaking authority to make decisions about Masio's education, health, and therapy needs. The document highlights that although Berry and Martinez originally agreed to joint legal custody, she now believes this arrangement is no longer viable. Berry claims that Martinez's refusal to support necessary interventions and his prioritization of soccer over Masio's educational and psychological well-being have contributed to their son's struggle in school. Berry also alleges that Martinez refuses to co-parent or communicate in a way that prioritizes Masio's needs. Berry is now in a relationship with musician Van Hunt. What's trending? 1 billion naira is trending on X following trending video of the moment Davido's father, Adedeji Adeleke, donated 1 billion naira to a church during a recent Thanksgiving service in Lagos State. Now here are the reactions. Ramoto Olaniyi on X says, that's only about $629,000 US. Not much. Small boys they run am. It's just that Naira is useless under Tinubu. Santi says, that's enough to build a church thrice better than that. This family is disgustingly rich. And finally, Badman Cash says, that's the quarter amount the president just loaned from the World Bank for health sector. Hehehe.
And that's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. NNPCL declares 3.3 trillion naira profit for 2023. Police invite NLC President Ajaero for questioning over alleged terror financing. Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, issues 21-day strike notice to federal government. We also brought you news that the Kenyan government plans to reinstate some taxes to raise $1.2 billion in capital. Would love to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on social media to do that as well, at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Many thanks for your kind attention. I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.